Good evening, it's Lace, Edo Connect, and I'm so lucky tonight. I'm with Miss Flora Iyamabo. She's going to be turning 90 years old in London. She was born in Edo State. Her husband was the permanent secretary in the then Edo State, but we are in London, and it's a special occasion. Good evening, Mommy.
Good evening.
Mommy, how are you?
I'm fine.
Very good to see you.
Thank you. I'm very happy to meet you too on this happy occasion
Thank you.
because I'm turning 90. It's a long journey. Thank you very much.
Very, very long journey. Mommy, I want to go back to the beginning because we're lucky. Not many people will be able to sit down here and tell us a story about how Nigeria has come to be in the state it is today. But let's go back. I have a note here say you are now an octogenarian. I'm trying to pronounce it. But what it means is you were a young woman that has seen Nigeria come through 90 years. How was Nigeria? How was Nigeria when you were young?
I will say Nigeria was a beautiful place when we were young. My father happened to be a teacher in the then government schools. When we were colonized, the British government had primary schools that were managed by them, and my father happened to be one of the teachers in those government schools.
Sorry, Mommy. Which state? Where was your father in?
My father was then called Benin Province. You know, from Benin Province, then we were in the western region of Nigeria. Then from western region of Nigeria, Midwest State was created. Then after Midwest State, it was turned to Bender State. Then from Bender State, we are now Edo State.
Edo State.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on. So your father was a teacher in the then what region?
Government schools in Benin Province.
Carry on.
Of which, under Benin Province, which you have Uromi Government School and Irua Government School. I started my primary education in Uromi Government School. Then from Uromi Government School, as my father was being transferred, carried the children along. So I followed my father
From there.
from Uromi to Irua.
This was before, long before amalgamation.
No, after the amalgamation, I think we were told when we were small, the amalgamation was done in 1914, but I was born in 1933.
Just not so far, after the amalgamation. That's 19 years.
It was a bit far. Let me far too. But when we were small, my father and the other teachers, they complained about the amalgamation because they felt Nigeria was not equally divided. And even then, if it was equally divided, all the states or the regions in which they divided them to, they were not given equal opportunity.
What did they remember about Nigeria before it was amalgamated? Why was there so much disagreement to say this sharing is not fair sharing?
Because with the sharing, they felt the north was too big. And because the north was too big, and they made then it was only 3 regions.
Yeah.
The northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. And when you join the eastern region and the western region together, they are not half of the northern region. And so they felt that since they do not have equal representation in anything they are doing, the north will always have advantage over the east and the west.
And the British were aware of this, but how did they resolve it? Did they just overlook it?
It was never resolved. In fact, as our children were growing, we saw it. We saw it when they say quota system.
Yeah.
The north always have more more than the East or the West.
Yeah.
And even when it comes to anything federal, when our children were growing up, in order to get into federal institutions, where the children in the East or the West will be asked to obtain either 75% or over before they be taken, people in the North may gain only 30% and they are taken.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, let me come back a bit to when you were born. You were in Irwa. You said
In Urumi.
In Urumi. Talk to us a little bit. How was Urumi at that time? 19 years ago, if you can remember.
Urumi was a very peaceful place because we lived together in harmony. We lived together in love, and the people. They loved their neighbors and they loved themselves. People will come from Benin, from Yoruba land, even the so-called North in the Hausas. Many of them lived with us at Urumi and they took them as one, and they were their neighbor's keeper.
Okay. And this was just to go back. What Oba was around at this time? This was way before Oba Radio.
No, the what I'm telling you, it was then about cancer.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And I want to come when you say it was a friendly community. I know Urumi is now more of a town, a city. How many people were in Urumi at that? The way you described it, was it a big settlement or?
Urumi has always been big. As it was then. So the size is it now. The size has not changed.
Okay. Let's come into Benin. So as you were growing up, I am coming to the fact that I know Daddy was a permanent secretary in the then Bender State, but that would be me moving, too fast. Let's go to independence. What can you remember about Nigeria before independence?
Nigeria before independence. We were being ruled by the colonials. You find you have residents. Let me talk of Benin.
Yes.
Benin City, you have residents. Then you have residents. Then in the suburbs, like places like Auchi, Irua, Agbo, Warri, you have the what they call DO. That is district officers. That was how it was. Before independence
came.
Then when independence came, although they did not just go immediately, they left bit by bit, and then we no longer have residents. Then when now politicians came in gradually, and the first political sense to be in Nigeria then was NCNC and the Action Group.
Good. When you had the GOs, you said, what did they stand for again? GO, did you say?
They call the district officer DO.
DO, district officer.
The resident that was based in Benin then is the one that will take care of all the DOs who are under him.
The one in Benin?
The one in Benin, the one and two Biaja. They don't call them local governments, and I don't know what they call it. They were under the residents in Benin.
These were all English people?
They were all English people.
All English people in ruling, you just named 7 days, so you had English people, Urumi, or it was still...
Ubiaja was the headquarters of Ishan Division. They were calling them divisions then. You have Ishan Division. You have Auchi. Under Auchi, you have Owa and the people that are there. But under Ishan, Ubiaja, you have Urumi, Ekoma, the Ishan towns. All our headquarters was at Ubiaja.
Yeah, things were working well.
Yeah, things were working well. There was discipline and there was order. There was discipline and there was order. Even though there were crimes, but small crimes, you hardly hear of house breaking. We hardly hear of house breaking then.
The people were happy.
They were happy and they were all hardworking. And what happened then was that every family, if you go to every house, you must find a small garden at the back of the house. Then when we were growing, if this is a house, at the back there you have a garden planted with all vegetables, and any house you go to, you find fruit trees.
Oh, mango trees,
orange trees.
Everything going very good.
So avocado pear trees, everything.
I can't forget my childhood. But when the British left, how was things? Were things okay for a while, or did things just start?
Things were okay for a while. But you know, everything, I think it is politicians that is shaping Nigeria the way Nigeria is now. Then when the British left, the two main political parties in Nigeria was NCNC, Action Group, and there was another group in the north. I've forgotten what they called them then. That was headed by the Sandana Sokoto then.
Oh,
that was another political party.
When you were growing up, I see when the British left, you were more than 18 or 20 at that time.
It was 1960. 1960 we were at, when we got independence, Nigerians were really happy. There was merriment in the whole country. You hear gunshots. You know, when there's a big occasion, you hear gunshots as if they are sharing. People were very happy because we are now going to be ruling ourselves. But they never knew that ruling ourselves was going to turn another thing
into a big problem. So what was your interaction, your personal interaction? Do you remember anything with the British? You know, were you working for or schooling with the British at that time?
I did school with the British, but they were in charge of schools. They were in charge of the courts. But I will say their rule was peaceful. Their rule, they have an aim, and it was regulated. There was justice, there was fair play. I could remember then, few Nigerians that were trained that came abroad to read, they did not just jump here. They came here on merit.
Yeah.
When they do exams, there was no godfather or godmother. The way you perform, I could remember then our teachers, they would go to school. They would just come to say, you have been promoted, because when they are teaching us in the school from Benin City, the education officer will just come unannounced. We find the watchman in the school compound. We watch around all the teachers and we go around. Then we take notes of every class. Then when they do that for a year or two, we find that they are promoting teachers from one grade to another grade without their lovely. Maybe before they go to school that day, they will not know anything. All of a sudden, they just see their name that they have been promoted.
Oh, what a good system.
That was how my father started as a classroom teacher, ended up as an education officer. My father retired as an education officer.
In Urumi, or this time it was, what year did he retire?
I think my father retired around 1915. Let me say after mid-50s.
Okay. I want to ask now, most of the Nigerians that they sent to Britain to train, you know, at that time, they did exams to merit coming to Britain. How did they select them? You know, to say you will go and train? Because my father came for telecommunications, some came for healthcare, you know, nursing and stuff.
My husband was one of those who came abroad here to read, because they will go for interview. Then then they have junior Cambridge exam, they have senior Cambridge exam, and they have they call it London matrix.
Yeah.
And then once you get, or when you get your matrix and you pass well, they go to interview for Lagos if you are selected. That was how he was selected to come abroad here, and he read in Aberdeen University.
Oh, do you remember what year Dad came to study in Aberdeen University?
Yes, he came, he left Nigeria in May 1954 and returned back in November 1958.
He spent 4 years here.
4 years.
Did you come to join him or did you wait in
I
Nigeria?
waited in Nigeria.
You waited in Nigeria
Yes,
and he came back?
and he came back.
How was he absorbed when he came back? He finished his study, came back, the British placed him in a position or what happened?
Before he came back, his job was already waiting for him. Before he left, he was a forest assistant. And by the time he came back, he became a forest officer.
Was that Bender State then?
Yes, in Bender State. No, not in Bender State. When he came, we were still under the colonial government. We were first of all posted to Owo, to Ibadan. From Ibadan, we were sent to Owo. From Owo, we were posted to Akure.
But then he changed.
To Ondo. Then from Ondo, we were transferred to Benin City. From Benin City, we were transferred back to Abeokuta. From Abeokuta to Benin City again.
Around different provinces, around different districts, did you notice any difference in Nigerian way of life or the British? Everything was the same, white people here and the structure was the same.
For the office running, the running of the office was the same because they were disciplined, they were given a code of conduct to follow to run the office. What I noticed then that during the time of the colonial era, we were not as civilized as this. The banks, there were no bank checks. I could remember at the end of the month to pay salaries, all the forest guards and all the officers, they would come on the day of payday to the main office. The forest officer, he was forest officer, he would be the one to go to the bank, bring the money in a cash box, then they will count the money and put in envelopes and pay them.
Give to everybody.
Give to everybody.
It was a good system.
It was a slow system
Yeah.
because they had to carry the cash by hand, and the assembly of them was that there were no robbers. Yeah.
Okay.
But now you cannot carry cash.
You beat me to it. Okay, now this all carried on till everything was okay till the formation of the states, or
But as years grew by, banks improved.
Yeah.
There were checks. Then you find that instead of people carrying cash by hand, maybe the forest officer will prepare checks and give to everybody.
And this was before the British. The British put this in place, or this time the British were going.
The British had already gone.
The British. Okay, now I if I remember, Daddy was a permanent secretary. That was in Bender State.
Bender State.
Prior to the creation of Bender State, he was a senior.
Even in your reason, when Bender State was still created, he was still chief director of forest, but with time, he was promoted to the permanent secretary.
The permanent secretary.
Then he retired as a permanent secretary.
Who was the governor of Bender State at that time? Do you remember?
We had many governors. I think the first governor we had was Mariri.
Yes, Jeremy Mariri, I think, yeah. Jeremy, yeah.
Then, when Ami took over, Bomudia became the governor. Then during, I think, I don't know what happened, then Jeremiah Oseni was one of our governors as a military man.
Yes.
Then before the military. Before the civilians started.
Taking over. You can remember when we were under democracy, maybe I think Moritala and all the Jeremy, and then we came to military, and then we moved back to, I think we got full democracy in 99, but in between it was, between 76 and 99 it was military.
Yes,
then.
I think the first military man to come in then was it Agu Ironsi?
Yes.
He was the first military man to come. And when he came, there was a sort of partiality because they killed many civilian governors.
Yeah.
Then I think Akintola was killed.
Yes.
Then Sadana Sokoto was killed. But because he was Igbo, Okpara was left, Osadebe was left in the Midwest.
Yes.
So when the northern men came, now they retaliated and killed Okotiebo.
Yes.
And killed so many people.
Yes. Now, when is this when the insecurity or the instability in Nigeria? Would you say this was when it started?
I will not say instability. I will say there was no fair play because there was fighting. There was when the Igbo came, when the Ironsi came as the military head of state, other people were killed. So when the Northerners had the opportunity to claim, they retaliated by killing many of the Southern soldiers or I don't know.
Were you, how was the fear? Were you scared then? Was your husband scared? How was there fear around Nigeria? That anytime, anything can...
Although I will say the military era by coming in is the one that opened, that stirred the mind of some people. I think the politicians copied from the military then. Because when the military came, they came because they felt the few politicians we have that there was no fair play and that there was no justice.
Yeah.
So, but when they came, when the few politicians saw the amount of wealth a few of them accumulated, so when politicians came, they started amassing wealth, and that is what has happened.
Now, I want to go back. When Daddy was permanent secretary, what year was that? That was 19, when you became permanent secretary of Edo State, was it 19, I won't guess, 76 or no? I know Fred, so I would think in the 80s. What year?
It was in the 80s.
It was in the 80s.
The late 70s to 80s.
And that must be under Ambrose Ali and...
No, under Obemudia. Obemudia came back as civilian government.
Yes.
Under Obemudia civilian government.
That was 83 when Obemudia came back as civilian government.
Yes.
How was Edo State at that time?
I think Obemudia, may his soul rest in peace, I think it was one of the best rulers we've ever had in Edo State. Because there was fair play. You will notice within Obemudia, when he was governor of Edo State, you hear of Bender Insurance.
Yes.
Do you hear anything like Bender Insurance again?
Well, the new governor is trying, but not like there were lots.
Then Obemudia was the one that created Ring Road.
Yes.
Then during Obemudia's time, we had Operation Feed the Nation.
Yes.
Every person was encouraged to have a farm or to do something to help the nation. And there was fair play.
Let me ask, because I remember Ali time. I think Ali came before Obemudia. There was a 4-year gap. And if I'm looking at the current dispensation of Obaseki, I'm trying to draw some connection with Ali time because many people ended up didn't liking Ali, when he was leaving. And it's a similar vibe with Obaseki. When Ali was governor, I was a child then, and I felt those free books, free education, and free bursary, those were the things we saw. You, as a parent, why were people not happy with Ambrose Ali when he was governor?
I don't know. I think Ali has strength because at least he brought the University of Ekpobo.
Yes.
That is Ambrose Ali University. The only thing, I was a teacher in Ali's time. I think the only problem we had, even the education was free, you find that the classes were packed full with children. I think you can have as many as 40 children in a class, which was pretty difficult for the teachers. Yeah, apart from that one, I think Ali was not bad.
A good governor.
At least he tried.
Good. Then let me say, what growing up, I know, like I said, I know your son Fred was my childhood friend as well. Describe for us the family values. What if I'm saying it? I'm saying it from a child's perspective, that we share fear, respect for our parents. If you know one parent can discipline another child, what was the community like?
Then there was the community environment was very encouraging, because the children, they played together. I could remember I never settled my children with any other children fighting. They will always say, "This is my friend, this is my friend." We never, even then, when you teach in schools, you find children playing together as it is now, because there was discipline. And then parents had time to stay with their children.
Yeah.
But now, because many people are running after wealth, they leave their children to their house help. Some will not even see their children for this. And that is a very bad legacy. Because staying with children, spending time with the children means a lot. Because when you spend time with your children, you will know what your children are doing, and it is what you teach a child that will lead him in the future.
Yeah.
Your child will not become an adult before you start to teach him what to do.
Yeah. It was on the tip of my tongue. What did the women, the housewives, do around this point? Because my mom used to have a salon. I could remember that, and everybody came to do their hair. Sometimes she travel abroad, bring things. But you were a teacher, and did you do anything else after your work?
No, I was a teacher, but at the same time, I find many things to do to support my husband's salary and my salary, because we have many children and they have to go to school, and they should not fall, they should get their needs. So we put out in small trades.
How many children did you and your husband have? And just out of questioning, because I want to see. My dad had 18. How many did you?
But God bless us with 10 children.
You see, very good, very, very good. Congratulations. And let me fast forward a little bit. The British, when did they finally leave Nigeria or Edo State, as you remember?
But after independence, they left gradually, but I do not know when they finally. Even when they left, they still brought a program called USAID. USAID then, if you remember USAID then.
What year was this?
This USAID, it was in the mid-70s. You said they will bring in Europeans and they will fix them in different offices. Some will teach in schools, some were Ministry of Agri, some were Ministry of Health, some were Ministry of Works. So they just fix them, they call them, you said, I've forgotten. Can you remember what that you said was?
USAID.
USAID. I could remember many of them, they were giving quarters in GRA, the old GRA.
Today in the UK, if you follow the news, there's always all kinds of racial connotations, racism here. If you can remember, all the British people that worked in Nigeria, even the ones that came back with this USAID, did they face any problem living in Nigeria because of skin color issues?
No, I don't think, because they were loved. They were loved. They were loved.
Very.
Because I could remember when I schooled in Benin City, every Friday, every primary school, during the last 2 periods of the week, of the day of Friday, we do manual work. I can remember in Benin government school, we were sent to GRO then to scrub their houses, to clean their windows. So they were all wrong.
No.
They were all wrong. And they worked hard too.
Yes, yes. I think I've never heard any of them complain about living in Nigeria. More so they naturalize and they don't want to come back to, Britain anymore. But I want to, as I'm seeing you, many things are rushing through my head because I want to fill in the gaps for many people. Let's come to more recent. You have seen elections in Nigeria. You have seen the things change. Prior to Buhari, Jonathan Goodluck. When last do you think we had a good president that could steer us in the right direction? Or could have, if he has come and gone?
The problem with presidency in Nigeria, it may not be the president himself. The president have got lieutenants that they send out to work for them. Before a president can really work hard in Nigeria, he should have assistants that will not be sacrificed. You should have assistants that will not tell you are the president, you should do it. When you do it, nothing will happen.
Yeah.
I think that is why many of our presidents are getting it wrong.
Right.
Because they are getting feedback from people who are sacrificed, who can benefit from them.
I want to talk to you about Benin Club. To me, that is like one of the stamp of Jare, the area where the British really, really spend their time. Were you and Daddy a member of Benin Club?
We were members of Benin Club, but that was when they had very few white people there after independence. But before independence, we were not members of Benin Club because we were not in Benin then.
You were not in Benin then. What year were you members of the club?
I could say when we came back after independence.
Okay, you joined.
Just before Edo State was created, was when Edo State was created, he met us in Benin. It was then we joined the Benin Club.
Mommy, you see, we can stay here talking all night. So I want to ask you, when children started to leave Nigeria, that they want to look for a better life abroad, that they want to go and not come back, were you worried that for some of them, these are children from, we've raised them, Nigeria, they're leaving Nigeria, Nigeria needs them. Did you have any concern that they might find abroad difficult?
My fear was I know that they will get abroad difficult. My fear now is that many Nigerians will never go to Nigeria again, particularly those that are born here. Because of insecurity in the country, the parents do not even travel to Nigeria. If you do not travel to Nigeria and your child has never followed you to Nigeria, the chance of your child going to settle in Nigeria is very slim.
Very slim. Mommy said it's going to be a big day. It's your 90th birthday, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you have practiced some Afrobeat steps. but if you had to give a message to Nigeria, now as you have seen different changes, different stages, what would you say to this country?
My advice to Nigeria is that I still have hope for Nigeria, because since the chaos we are facing now did not start at this time, since we had peace before, the peace can still return back to Nigeria if we start to correct all the wrongs. If we continue by now to speak the truth, to be just, and to do unto others what you want others to do unto you. If you practice all those virtues, Nigeria can still come back to what it used to be before.
Thank you. And before I leave, I want you to tell me, if you can remember, some memorable nights in Benin with Daddy. You know, everybody come, you know, because that was a high profile, I think it was a barrister. You know, it was a high profile man, perm secretary. Just remind me of a usual night where people come and celebrate with you. If it was possible now, what type of party would you have?
Before in Benin, I could remember you can go for all-night party and maybe go home by 5, you will not be afraid. But now parties, when you go for parties in Nigeria now before 5:30 in the evening, you already get ready to go home because so that you can get home safely. And maybe when you are sleeping too, you will not sleep with your 2 eyes closed.
No. Do you still have friends that live in Nigeria, Benin, and you miss them? Or perhaps even in Uromi? Do you still have family members?
Many of my youth friends, most of them, some are in America, some are in Britain here, because maybe their children are here as they are old, as I'm here now staying with my children, so they are staying with their children too.
It's the new way for grandparents. Everybody come here. Mommy, look, fantastic to talk to you. Anything you want to add? All I want to say is I will be here next week to party.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
It will be joy to receive you in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you very much. And I've had a very, very great moment. Happy birthday, Mommy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I wish you too that by the grace of God you make 90 and above.
Amen. Amen. Amen.